Guys, it's Princess Livia here. You can see my hands. Okay. So I got this tutorial for you for a really easy, if you know how to sew, bookmark. If you look at it, it's actually a giant paper clip with lace sewn to it, and it's actually like the perfect Valentine's Day gift for any of your like bookworm partners or besties, or you just want a bookmark. So here's how I made it. Things you need to know of why I make things homemade a lot is I think it comes more from the heart when the gift is made homemade. Okay, so things you will need. Okay. A needle. Okay. A needle and a thread. Now I have this little needle holder to make sure I don't lose it, because when it gets lost, it could be dangerous. Just saying. Okay. Extra thread. A paper clip, a giant one for lace that we're going to use. If you're going to use little ribbon, you can just use a normal paper clip. And lace ribbon. Scissors. This is optional, but I like to use nail clippers because they're smaller and more precise on like smaller things, but you could just use your scissors. Okay. Step 1, you're going to see how long you want your bookmark to be. I recommend it being long enough to be seen, you know. It can vary from about the size of your index finger to, I recommend a good amount that you'll be able to see it. Now you're going to double it up, okay? And you'll see why in a second. You got to trust the process, okay? So you got to make sure that you are precise and you know how long you're going to have it. You got to double it up. Now that you see, you know exactly where you want it to be, you're going to cut it. Now this is for lace ribbon. If you get normal ribbon, it frays a lot less. And if you want a separate tutorial on that, please comment. Because comments let me know. Okay. So now that we have our lace measured out, the thing with lace ribbon is these are frayed. This is gonna rip and tear. So what I do is I hem it up. I just fold it over like this, and I take my needle and my thread. Now, you could also use a threader, but my eyes are just really good, I guess, and I can just do it with just my eyes and the right lighting. So what you gotta do is be careful of your fingers. If you're scared of that, get a thumble, please. Okay, so we're gonna put it. Now, you see that? Stop there. We will trim off the excess later if needed, okay? Now, it's different between clothing and lace thread, okay? Now, I'll tell you the difference here in a second. After you get a little loop, you're gonna thread this through that and make a little knot, okay? So the difference between normal clothing and lace thread is, or lace ribbon, is that with lace ribbon, you just gotta do the edges, but when it's clothing, you gotta do the whole edge. Okay, so I wish my camera would focus. Okay, there we go. And then you do the same for the other side. We're gonna trim off the excess here in a little bit, but there. My hands are kind of shaky, so I'm sorry about that. Then you're gonna go underneath. And tie a knot. And if you're scared about it still not being tight enough, you can always double knot it. You can always double knot things. There's no shame in it. Okay. There. I say 3 is the magic number. So if you're really scared, when in doubt, do 3. Okay? Okay. So now go trim off the excess, but make sure not to trim off the actual stitch itself. If you do that, you have to stitch it up again. Now, if you were a child, please do this with adult supervision, or just have the adult watch this and they can do it. This is why I have nail clippers, because I was having issues with the scissors. Well, now I'm just gonna, and there we go. Now, I know that edge looks a little bit ugly, but trust the process. We're gonna get rid of that ugly edge. So now we have to do the other end, like that. But first we gotta see if we have enough thread for that. It looks like we have just enough thread for one end. Okay, let's do this. Let's fold it over, make sure it's straight, and put it through, and oh, I was wrong. We don't have enough. So how I thread my thread. Now this is coat thread. I like coat thread because it's stronger and more durable. It's called coat thread because it's used for coats, and coats need more durable thread. But you can use normal sewing thread. So what I do is I just take the end and I find the eye of the needle. It's very hard to see, but then I just take the tiniest edge of the thread. I'm sorry that you can't really see it. I just carefully, and if you're having problems, what I like to do is, like, sometimes the edge of the thread itself is frayed. What I do is I just take my nail clippers and I just clip off the very edge that is frayed. And then it's very precise in the way I thread it. I gotta take it off camera here for a second so I can thread it better. The camera's kind of blocking the light, so I can't really get it, but it's threaded. Now there is this thing to help you that is called a threader, and you can get those at any craft store like Hobby Lobby. I just don't really need them. I've been doing this for a long time. Okay, so I'm gonna start now. I'm gonna start. You always put the needle from the inside of the fabric and outwards. And you see, now it's poking out just a little bit. We're gonna do a loop. And do a little knot. Now, if you're gonna do this, please, and you're a child, please do this with adult supervision. I do not want to get any comments from angry parents saying that their child got hurt because they tried to make a bookmark. So, yeah. And right about there, you're gonna stop pulling. And there. Now, pull it through and make that knot. Now, usually with coat thread, you don't have to do more than one knot, but if you're using normal sewing thread, I do highly recommend using like more than that. Okay, now here's a part where you really gotta pay attention, okay? Which part of the paper clip are you putting it on? I like to see it as little loop, big loop. Put it on the big loop. Now, what we're gonna do is we're going to measure out where exactly we're gonna sew it onto the paper clip. Because sewing it actually makes it more high quality, and you can leave it in a hot car and it won't melt. Now that we have the sides evenly distributed, we're gonna start sewing here. So, here, we're gonna, ow, I poked myself. Now, I'm gonna go from the very edge stitch. Do not start from the middle, start from the very edge. Now, it's not very often I do sewing tutorials, but I'm a very crafty person. What can I say? Here. There we go. And if you want to use black thread or whatever thread color like matches the bookmark better, you can totally do that. I'm not stopping you. This is like a creative process. I'm just showing you how to put it all together, you know? And we're going to trim off that excess here in a second. We got to focus on getting it on the paper clip. And then just going to get it. Let's see. 2, 1, and I'm just loosening up so I can do a proper knot stitch. This is what's called a knot stitch. And we're going to do it one more time. And let's make a good knot. I like to do it 2 times. When in doubt, do it 2 times. If you're still in doubt, do it 3 times. And that's all you need. I just hit my camera. Sorry, guys. Did that hurt? Okay. And you could just leave it like this, but I don't find that very attractive, and it's going to slip off of the paper clip so easily. So we're going to sew these ends together, and plus it will hide the ugly frayed lace. So make sure both lace ends are lined up like this. And this is when we're going to use small stitches on the very edge. Very, very edge. Now, if you're a beginner sewer, I highly recommend that you start learning how to sew basic stitches on basic fabric before you start doing stuff like this. Say, I just accidentally pulled it out. That is why this is such a tedious process. And the reason why I'm so speedy with it, I've been doing it for a long time. It might take other people like hours to do. Now, when the thread is this short and I really don't want to rethread it, I just hold it in place and try to fit another stitch. But if it's impossible, like literally impossible to do another stitch, then just rethread it, for heaven's sakes. Okay. And there. There. But like I said, we gotta do both edges. So we're gonna thread it one more time. Okay, so now that I got it threaded, we're gonna do one more stitch on the opposite end that we just stitched. So this is where you gotta know where to place some vital stitches, because after this stitch we're gonna do a couple stitches on the side to make it more aesthetically pleasing, and that's what we're looking for. So let me just now this fabric and this thread is very difficult to work with sometimes. So, yeah. Now, when you're making the knot, you have to make sure it loops under both sides. And if it still gets knotted up, it's fine. So, cut that part off and then go on to the body. Now the part that's more flared out, you don't want to do that part. You want to do this part. The part that is not super flared out, the more flat end. You see the more flat end? That is what we're going to sew together, because these like to curl up on you. So I would do one half an inch away from the top. Boop. Let's stitch, and I'm gonna remind you guys, this is coat thread. With normal thread, you have to do more than one knot stitch. I'm gonna do 2 knot stitches. I say 3 is the magic number, so with normal thread, you can do 3 stitches. That's what I do. Okay, there we go. Now, do another one about the top of your thumb down from where you made that other stitch. Now, can't stress enough how easy it is to mess this project up. I've been doing stuff like this for as long as I can remember, really. So that's why I can do it and make it look effortless. But the first time I started stitching things up, it didn't look pretty. So, yeah. And there we go. And the reason why I'm so good at it is I'm actually really fast. When I'm dedicated to something, I do it fast. And then now this is why I don't make it too long, but I make it long enough to be noticeable. So, another stitch. Sorry for the shaky camera, guys. Okay. Oh, that's a problem with sewing. If you aren't paying attention, the thread's gonna pull out on you. Okay. There. One more stitch. It's called a knot stitch because it's like you're tying a knot. Do one more knot stitch for good measure. They say third time's the charm. That's another reason why I do 3 stitches with normal thread. But this thread is just so freaking strong. It doesn't really need it. Okay. Now here is where I prefer nail clippers. Okay. Now save that extra thread on there. Even if it's not a lot, you could use it for something. Okay, so you see all these loose threads? You don't want to accidentally cut the fabric itself. So we're going to take the nail clippers. We're going to clip it. We're going to clip it. We're going to clip it. We're going to clip off all the excess. And after you're done cutting off all the excess, it looks really pretty. So, okay. And I don't got a lot of excess on here. It's just... Okay, there we go. And that is how you make the bookmark. Now, this is how it looks inside of a book. Now, why does it have to be on such a big paper clip? Let me show you. So these are not private notes. These are notes about my favorite Bible verses. So basically, it's to keep a lot of notes together and to keep it more like keep your life together. A lot of people could use that. So I've got another notebook, for example. You need to remember certain things for a certain class, and you know what part it's in. You can clip them together like that. Now look at this, look at this. with these giant paper clips, you can clip together a massive amount of paper. That's literally almost more than half the notebook. So, and if you want me to show you how to make a smaller one, I missed a loose thread. It's fine. But if you guys want to know how to make smaller versions of this, is basically the same but on a smaller scale. But thank you for watching. Princess Livia doesn't believe in goodbyes, but she does believe in see you later, and happy crafting.